So, with All in less than a week and a half, on the last Sunday of the month here, a lot of people have been talking about a lot of the backstage drama going on in AEW, but also the lack of, I guess you could say, urgency when it comes to All In itself. I mean, honestly, you can't blame people for feeling the way they do upon hearing a lot of this information. I mean, when you think about it, here you have All In 2, the follow up, the sequel to the All In event that put AEW on the map in the first place. Basically, got Tony Khan to invest with the Elite and Cody to, bring this company to life. Here you have this follow up, you know, which is bigger and better, which is basically attendance wise and venue wise, is bigger, if not better, or I shouldn't say if not, but you know, absolutely 10 times, 100 times better, if you will, than the original. And yet, Tony Khan is just now putting the final touches on on the card for this event. He's just putting the final touches on the card, and a lot of people have been getting on him about that because to them, AEW is supposed to be the alternative. It is supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be doing the opposite of what WWE does. And that includes having cards, match cards and everything for events like All In already set, set and booked and ready to be announced. But yet here we are, and now just last night we're getting more emphasis, put onto All In and everything. We're finally getting more emphasis put on it, but still, it's like a lot of people feel and believe, and even those in the business, believe it or not, feel and believe that this should have been done a month ago. Like right after Forbidden Door, maybe a week after Forbidden Door, that's when you should have started building to the event. You should have started to go down this path of let's get these matches and everything built up for this event. But yet you wait until almost a week before, if not a week, 2 weeks out, or less than that, to finally put the finishing touches on this event. And yet and yet a lot of people feel that this all should have been taken care of, right off the bat. That we should have already had, way like even before Forbidden Door, we should have already had Adam Cole and MJF announced for the world title. Well, maybe not before Forbidden Door, but right after Forbidden Door, we should have had that match already signed, sealed, and delivered, for All in London. You know, you look at something like, let's say, Samoa Joe and CM Punk. You're gonna, revisit this rivalry, several times over now that they're both in the same company again. And that's a match you want to set up for, a pay-per-view. You know, that that match should have automatically been signed, sealed, and delivered after the semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament, or after Samoa Joe issued the challenge. You should have had that match signed, sealed, and delivered. You know, and it's like, and it's not just that either. It's also the fact that even though those matches sound good and everything, some of them are not the matches people feel would really help this event out. I mean, Kenny Omega teaming up with, Kota Ibushi and Hangman Adam Page against the Bullet Club and Kaneshiko Takeshita, if you will, in a trios match. That's great and everything, and there's a little bit of story. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what fans want. It's not what fans feel, and even those in the business, feel would be the best solution. A lot of fans have always felt that, hey, if you're Tony Khan, you should put your foot down and say, hey, if you got a problem, let's settle it right now, and then really settle it in the ring. Get it out of your system. And a lot of people feel that the best solution to that would have been to put would have been to put either a trios match with Omega and the Bucks against CM Punk and FTR, or if you're going to do FTR and the Bucks, which they are, for the tag team titles, then at least you should also to accompany that do CM Punk and Kenny Omega or CM Punk and Adam Page. You know, it's the easiest solution. Easiest solution, but they're not doing that. They're not doing that all because of the fact that they don't want trouble stirring. And speaking of the trouble, you know, all of a sudden you have this drama going on with CM Punk again, and everything he said in a post collision like shoot promo, if you will, on Adam Page, and then on top of that you have reports of him having people sent home from collision the moment they get there, including Adam Page. All because of the fact that they're associated with the elite. Well, Adam Page is part of the elite, but you get the idea. Like it's basically like because they have some kind of connection to the elite, like Ryan Namath, Dolph Ziggler's, brother, you know, says something, even though him and Punk on the Dynamite after the debut of Collision backstage, I guess shook hands, let cooler heads prevail. Still went on to say stuff, and then he gets sent home from possibly a payday on Collision or the ROH tapings, and then if that's not enough, you have Matt Hardy get sent home for no reason, whatsoever. What, because he's associated with the elite, and Punk, they're afraid he might say something. And then the one that really got a lot of people talking was Christopher Daniels, the fallen angel, being sent home. And he's not just an in-ring talent, but he's also in a position of management given to him, by Tony Khan. Tony Khan gave him that position to, to help out as head of talent relations, and yet he gets sent home, all because Punk doesn't want him there either because he's associated with the elite. That's what really got people wondering. It's like, wait a minute, Daniels, is higher up on the totem pole than CM Punk, so he should be able to override CM Punk and say, hey, I'm head of talent relations, I can stay here. But that didn't happen. Tony Khan or whoever, Tony Khan or whoever, maybe Punk himself said, nope, we don't want him here. So you got all this going on, and then on top of that, you got the women's drama going on, with LaFisto and, her accusations to Britt Baker and, some of the other women there, and how the women's division is treated, and how certain women are in cliques or groups together, and how they mistreat others. It's like this is definitely not the time for AEW and Tony Khan to be dealing with this. And then on top of that, a lot of people thought last night's Dynamite, for at least the first 70 minutes or so, was good. But then all of a sudden, as soon as we get to that Texas Chainsaw Death Match, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death Match, it all goes downhill. I mean, even the moment when Jeff Jarrett and AEW announced that match was going to happen last night, a lot of people are like, "What? Excuse me? Huh? What?" They didn't know what to make of it. And then the match itself, it's like, a lot of people looked at it as being the exact opposite of what AEW is supposed to be. Like, yeah, you can have your cheesiness in AEW, your sports entertainment in there once in a while, if it's good and it makes sense and everything. It's not too over corny or over cheesy or very Russo-y or Russo-F or Russo-ness, or basically it's not something that they feel Russo or even Vince McMahon would find funny or whatever, like with the zombie lumberjack match and all that years ago. It's it's just that match last night was the cherry on top, to everything else. And then of course again Tony Khan being late, not taking urgency, and even a month or so in advance after Forbidden Door, to try to get this event, this all in London, this all in two event, basically at Wembley Stadium with 80,000 plus 85,000 plus people, potentially there. You have him being lazy and not being not taking this opportunity, this situation seriously, you know, because it's an opportunity that even he said himself in response to what Triple H said during the Cody Rhodes documentary. This is an opportunity to show that they are not a secondary company. They're not a secondary promotion, and yet he's not. And yet he's not, doing what's needed to really, make that statement true, or at least attempt to make that statement true. Because again, a lot of people feel that this booking of All In, even though you're going to get some decent matches and everything, maybe not the ones you want, that this booking of All In, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It is a shadow of what AEW is supposed to be. It is a shadow of what they used to be, or originally were meant to be, or said they would be. That's what it is. It's barely a glimpse of what they promised when they first began. I mean, you even have Darby Allin coming out and kind of shooting on the fact that the TNT Championship has really not meant anything, at all, ever since, Cody left. And it's like, if you have one of your own talents coming out and saying that, about what's supposed to be your secondary men's title, or, not secondary, but third, third, secondary, but, not secondary, but third dairy, if you will, men's title, your answer, your equivalent to an Intercontinental or U.S. title, you know, when you have someone like that coming out and saying that, and then you have anonymous talent telling various outlets that the morale is down because Tony Khan has, Tony Khan is not being who he's supposed to be. He's he's not letting talent know weeks in advance about something, or of whether or not they're going to be at All In, or whether or not they're going to be part of Dynamite to help build to an appearance at All In and or All Out. It's like this whole AEW, this overall AEW drama is something they do not need right now. Less than a week and a half away from the biggest show in the company's history, the biggest pro wrestling event, as Tony Khan likes to tout it, in history, all because of what Triple H said about them being a secondary promotion. You know, this is what they do not need. They do not need this, because what's going to happen is you're going to have people like Triple H, and maybe it's in his team and maybe some of Vince's team, you know, using this to their advantage to push at the fact, or push, basically, not push at the fact, but they're going to use this to their advantage to keep proving what they say is true about AEW being a secondary promotion. I mean, everybody has even said that if Vince McMahon, was running things, in this kind of a situation, none of this would be happening, whether they want to admit it or not, because he or Triple H would take him aside, have him talk it out, and then say, hey, if you really want to get it out of your system, there's the ring, go do it. Go do your thing. But yeah, again, this is not the time. This is not the time nor the place. And I agree with this, when everybody says this, for this drama to be happening a week and a half out of the biggest event of your company's history, celebrating the founding of your company, 4 years later. But what do you guys think? What do you think about all this AEW drama a week and a half away from All In? Let me know, and until then, talk to you later.